Welcome back. Trust is an important part of a healthy relationship. Trusting someone means that you think they're reliable. The minute that feeling is threatened, it can mean the beginning of the end of that relationship. Larry Olushola is here to help us understand how best couples can begin to build that trust once it's been severed by one or both of them. Larry is one of Africa's premier life, mind, and behavioral change coaches. And it's always a pleasure having him in the studio.
The pleasure is mine, Titi.
Welcome.
Thank you again.
It's such a touchy topic, though, this trust thing.
Yes.
So how many times a day do you get people asking you about trust?
Ooh, I guess trust is at the foundation of every human relationship. Yeah. And without trust, you know, there can be intimacy, there can be friendship. And so, you know, and trust is broken every day. Every second, you know, because of unrealistic expectations, a lack of clarification of exactly what you want. And then most importantly, there are clashes in values and core beliefs. Okay,
so let me take that one more time. So the factors that could affect or have been affecting trust over time in marriage, one more time are?
Is number one, unrealistic expectations. Number two, lack of clarification and definition of exactly what it is that trust means to you. You're not explaining exactly what your needs are and what you want from the other person. Then, you know, clash in values, your core values, and ultimately your governing beliefs. Okay, so that does sort of veer towards, okay, the last point there, what you've been taught, how you've been brought up, your training, your culture, and possibly religion. Yes. Okay, so now there are probably some relationships happening right now, and one or both parties don't even know that they've lost the trust of their partner to a certain extent. So what is it as a partner, like for instance, if I had any suspicions, what should I look out for to find out if my partner trusts me or not? I mean, even before we go into what to look out for, right, I want to emphasize the point that you have made, because a lot of people feel trust is broken, but they don't express it. Okay. They don't even consciously know it. So gradually, unconsciously, they begin to distance themselves from their spouses. So the important thing is to always be self-aware and aware of your environment, aware of how you are feeling when something happens, right? Oftentimes when trust is broken, then people start to distance themselves because you begin to feel insecure, because security is what trust gives you. Okay. And so you don't feel a sense of security with that person. And so what you naturally and psychologically do is you withdraw. So you will start to withdraw psychologically, you start to withdraw emotionally, and then physically. Okay, so psychologically first. Yeah. When you say psychologically, what does that mean? You start to, you know, think, this is not the kind of person that I should be with. Okay. You know, you start to form beliefs and philosophies, you know, around that person. You start to, you know, project upon that person. You start to assume. Make assumptions, you know, that, oh, because they've come back late from work, they're with somebody else. Because, you know, they don't have time to answer your questions, they're trying to hide something, you know, because, you know, you want quality time, they're not sitting down with you, then it means that they're on the phone with somebody else. You know, you start to make assumptions, and those assumptions start to provoke emotions. Right? You know, and then you start to feel hurt. So the withdrawal psychologically leads to the withdrawal emotionally. And then that leads to the physical withdrawal. Okay, so physical withdrawal now, let's just touch on that. Yeah. Physical withdrawal isn't like moving out of the house, I believe. It starts from proximity. Okay. So you don't want to be in the person's space. You don't want to talk to the person. You know, that's where it starts from. Okay. Because you see, you've got a spiritual being, essence, you've got an emotional being, and you've got a physical being. Now, once you start to detach psychologically and emotionally, your, you know, spiritual and emotional beings start to repel each other and distance each other. And so the person starts to irritate you. Yeah. You know, when the person starts talking,
yeah,
you know,
whatever.
Whatever, you know, and gradually, you know, those emotional things and psychological things start to distance you from the person. And then physically, you don't want to be in their space.
Anymore.
If you're married, you don't want them to touch you. Yeah. You don't want to have sex. At that point, you can't even kiss yourself.
Wow. Okay, so now you are probably, if someone is probably in a relationship now, they've probably noticed some of the signs of, maybe even if it's just the psychological withdrawal, not yet the emotional withdrawal at this stage. How can they catch it to stop it from leading somewhere else? How can we stop this trust from shattering completely?
I mean, the very first thing is you've got to be self-aware. Like I said, you've got to be aware of your environment. And then you know your spouse, right? Or your partner.
Or you're supposed to know.
Or you're supposed to know, right? But, you know, many don't. Then you see the change in reactions, you know, and behaviors. And that's the time when you need to start having conversations.
Okay.
What exactly is going on? You know, and then have open and honest conversations. And then when you start to talk and you start to communicate, right, you realize that, you know, there, well, principally two parties involved in that relationship, but we often bring in third parties.
Okay.
So the two parties involved have to identify what they've done wrong, and who the perpetrator is, right? And what...
When you say perpetrator, does that mean whose fault?
Yes. Whose fault is it?
The blame game is a touchy one. That's why I'm saying when you start...
Someone must have done something, right? But the other person must have played a part in it. You know, so there's the principal and the primary suspect or the player, and then the secondary person. Now, there must be something that the other person, let's say infidelity, for example, you know, it's not in all cases that the person that cheated, you know, is 100% at fault.
Okay.
Maybe the other party has been too busy, has been too stressed, has been giving excuses, you know, he's gone off, you know, intimacy and sex. And so that other person feels rejected. And so seeks, you know, a validation, you know.
But doesn't that mean that they've reached the physical withdrawal stage?
Yeah.
But that's before one party can, you know, withdraw or deny intimacy with the partner. It means that there must have been something on the other part. So I guess you've said that, yes, someone is at fault that led to the infidelity. But then, again, before the withdrawal could happen, isn't there something that the first party we mentioned earlier could have done wrong? Most
times, that's the situation, right? Sometimes that may not be the situation. Okay. You know, I mean, there are multiple dynamics to what we're talking about. Yeah.
I've been amongst so many women groups. We talk all the time, social media and all that. And the blame game is a big one. But then again, there does seem to be that issue of maybe considering that it might just be greed, you know, on one party's side. That, oh, maybe the person is just greedy. The person is just overzealous with their lifestyle and just haven't adjusted to marriage or haven't adjusted to being in a relationship.
Well, you know what I always say, you saw the guy or the chick before you married.
Okay.
It didn't just start. You accepted it, you know, before you married. That's the whole essence of courting.
All right.
Right? You're supposed to have picked up all these things and addressed all these things. So it's not when you've married. You don't enter one chance now. It's not when you've married that you now start complaining about these things, you know. Okay. We say to people, when you're dating and courting, eyes open.
Okay.
Right? And that's the time when you're supposed to address a lot of these issues, because once you get in there, you're in there, you know. So a broken relationship is better than a broken marriage. Broken trust in a relationship and is easier to address than broken trust in a marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, rebuilding this trust, is it actually possible?
Oh yeah, everything is possible now.
Are you sure that everything is? Are you sure they can get to that 100% again?
Yes, it can.
How?
You know, once both parties are really truly committed, right, to moving forward. So let's call the one party the aggrieved.
Okay.
The aggrieved has to decide to love, release, and forgive.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? The perpetrator has to agree, right, and commit to change.
Okay.
And has to be willing to prove, you know, that he has changed or she has changed. Then secondly, both of them need to sit down together and set their goals. What do we really want? And how do we hold ourselves accountable? Thirdly, there can be no secrets. Wow. There has to be complete honesty and openness. You cannot keep no passwords on your phone. Wow. You know, you have
everything out in the open.
Everything.
So is it safe to say, as we round off, is it safe to say that in order to rebuild it, you have to completely break it down?
Oh, you have to start all over again now.
You have to start afresh.
You have to identify what went wrong. Why did you do it? You know, there must have been something missing. There must have been something wrong. You must have certain needs that possibly your partner couldn't meet, and you've got to be able to talk through it.
Okay, well, we have to rush off, and trust me, I don't want to do this, but I know that we can continue this conversation on social media. Rebuilding trust with the hashtag WakeUpNigeria. Tweet to us at TVC Connect. But we have to rush to MM and Beyonce now because something smells good, and I trust Beyonce. He has something.
Yes, you're right, Titi. It's getting really interesting.
Yeah, so right now we are almost done cooking the gizzard.
Okay.
I'm sure the gizzard smells nice. Everywhere is just...
But do you think gizzard takes as much time as the beef or chicken?
No, actually no.
Okay.
And it depends on the how big whatever you're cooking is. Okay. That factor comes to play
really?
A lot. Yeah. If your beef is big, it will take longer time. Yes, to cook. So right now we are cooking the gizzard. The gizzard was cooked with seasoning cubes, a bit of water.
Let's remind our viewers what we are making.
We are making gizzard wrap.
Gizzard wrap.
Yes, gizzard, dodo, and coleslaw in a wrap. So you could make this either in a wrap or in a taco. You could experiment with it.
Not everybody knows what taco is.
well.
We're not in Mexico.
Well, you can make a taco. You can use a tortilla wrap. So basically, the cabbage and the carrots are in here with a bit of mayo. So all you need to do is just mix it and set it aside. You know, it comes into play at the end of the day when you're done making your gizzard itself.
Can you use salad cream?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can use salad cream.
Because not everyone likes mayonnaise.
No. Yeah.
Especially
you're always fighting for the not everybody.
You know, yes, because I mean that's why we have alternatives, right?
Yes. But you're always fighting for it. Oh, if you don't have, I'm wondering why you've not asked me if you don't have carrot and cabbage, what would you use?
Okay, if you don't have carrot and cabbage, what do you use? You use ugu.
Use ugu and spinach. No.
So what are we going to do with the tomatoes?
So we are cooking it. We are cooking it like we want to make it stew, but no, we're not making it stew. It's more like you're making it stew, but not exactly. You get. At the end of the day, you're cutting this into cubes. Okay. The gizzard, when it's fried, you're stirring everything together with the bell peppers cut into strips. So the pepper, the gizzard first, the onions. We're adding a bit of more onions. There's onions in this mix. The bell peppers cut into strips there, and the plantains. So the plantains are still frying. So when they are done, we take it out, and everything begins to come together.
Okay. I just realized that plantains actually have more starch
than
bananas, or than... You just think they are proteinous generally. But then I just found out that they actually contain more starch.
I need to research on that.
Yes, you need to.
Yes, I'll do thorough research on it.
So can you use unripe plantains as well?
Huh? Okay, so our gizzard is ready.
Is it?
Yes.
How do you know it's ready?
I can tell. I'm a chef. But you can try it out while we begin to make our sauce.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're frying.
Yes. So Yeah, what's going to happen next? The pepper.
Okay.
So
we are frying that out.
Yes, we are.
Are we using vegetable oil?
Yes, we are using
Okay.
vegetable oil. You could use olive oil also. While your plantain is still frying, you can begin to make your sauce.
Okay.
So basically, try and make your pan as dry as possible. That is the key when making anything, because at the end of the day, it could dilute whatever you're making. And this is oil.
Really?
Yes, and this is oil.
I didn't think so.
You don't want to add oil to water. That is a terrible mix. So this is going to dry. We're going to let it dry a little. Once it's dried, we add our vegetable oil and our pepper mix, and we let it simmer down. Let the water cook out a little, or you could just cook out the water initially, but don't worry. I just rather just cook it on the heat already.
Okay.
So when the water cooks out, it's seasoned. You season it, curry, thyme, seasoning cube, or you could just use the stock of the gizzard to season your.
Oh, so
Yes.
you just pour in the stock into
yes,
the tomatoes.
Yes.
Okay.
So you really do not need a lot of seasoning to it. Just taste it. If it's not right there, you could just adjust it a little bit. Don't worry, the plantain won't burn. Don't worry, the plantains won't burn. I love plantains.
But then I'm worried because of the tomatoes. I mean the blended tomatoes. Won't the salad?
Yeah.
Won't it look soggy? When it feels
which
soggy.
tomatoes?
This when you're done.
This is
when
going
you're
to be
done
cooked
frying it,
down.
you're cooking it.
Cook down to the barest minimum. It becomes a very thick sauce. It's just like you are stewing the gizzard and the plantains together. It's not going to be soggy at all. You're
And then
stewing it.
just the whole combination: mayonnaise, tomatoes.
Yeah.
Pepper.
People usually doubt until they taste. You know, you've been a doubting Thomas all the show.
Well,
Everything
not
I cook.
exactly.
Everything I
not
cook.
exactly.
You're like, are you sure it's going to taste right?
Yeah, because it's important to have a mental picture of what you're about to taste.
Yeah,
You know,
trust
you
me,
just have a mental picture of how it's
yeah.
going to taste in your mouth. And that's me. I like to imagine how food is going to taste. It
But
has to look
you've
taste
always
good.
imagined and you're always wrong.
Whatever. Because I make gizdodo and I don't use tomatoes or pepper.
Oh,
Yeah.
what do you do?
I just, slice up my bell peppers, that's my green pepper, my carrots, in stripes, or in strips, right?
Strips,
In
yes.
strips, yeah.
Well, you're
And
learning a
then-
new method.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just fry them on, and then put in my chicken or turkey or beef.
Well,
Then I really do not like gizzard. I'm not a gizzard person.
What? You're
I'm
not-
not a fan of gizzard.
You really do not like gizzard. Why?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Yes, I like gizzard. I like what I don't like. I wish I could eat more is seafood, but I'm allergic to seafood, so I do not eat a lot of seafood.
You still have that bandit thing going on, right?
No, it's not any of my thing. I'm just allergic to seafood.
Okay, so I'm just going to help you toss and turn this.
Okay, so what we're doing here is adding the curry and thyme to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it compulsory? Because I remember there was a time I stopped using curry and thyme for any of my stew, pepper, or the rest of that. I just use ginger and garlic. I just grate it.
You don't necessarily need to, you know, everything you add to whatever you're cooking, it's like, we have a flavor profile you're trying to build.
Okay.
And if you do not add it, you probably might not end up reaching your goal, because everything comes together. You could exclude curry and thyme, probably because at the end of the day when you taste it, it tastes some kind of way. If there's too much thyme in food, there's a way it tastes.
How does it taste?
Timey. If there's too much curry in food, there's a way it tastes.
Curry.
It tastes curry. Curry.
Curry.
So, yes. So, you do not need to necessarily add too much of everything to it. Just a bit of it,
okay.
and you get what you're looking for.
And a pinch of salt.
A pinch of salt, yes.
But we haven't used salt so far.
That's because I don't know if I'm really sure I want to use salt today, because that stock tastes great, awesome. So I'm not sure I want to use salt into this. So we're just going to let this cook down. We're letting our plantains fry. Let's not forget, we have to always keep an eye on the plantain. It's we're looking at golden brown, not burnt brown. But I like my plantains like deep golden brown.
Do you like your plantains overripe?
I love them overripe.
Oh,
I love them ripe.
I don't know how you guys do it.
It has to be
I
ripe.
can't.
Why?
I can't.
Why?
My husband likes plantains
That's the beauty
overripe.
of eating
He's
plantains.
like, leave them, let them. I'm like, no
How would you
way.
eat plantain and it's not ripe?
No,
Like,
it has to, it has to look, well put together. Not
I don't understand
scattered,
it.
just all over the place, all mushy.
See, the beauty of plantain is when it's ripe. And you can, I recently ate Bolly somewhere, and she used
please tell me it
ripe.
was,
It's just very ripe plantain. And I'm like, I'm definitely coming back here.
No, certainly.
Or like someone's
Not
you eat
doing
and you're like, come on. Do you know on ripe plantain, they have this, is healthier, yeah?
Yeah, they're
But
healthiest,
they have this
actually.
acrid taste. You can still taste a lot of, I think, acidity into it. Like,
Really?
nah, I don't like it. I don't like.
Oh, that reminds me. I think we should make plantain porridge one of those days.
Okay, plantain porridge it
Yeah.
is. You probably be
I mean,
I'll
for the healthy,
I'll
for
be
the
the presenter that day and you be the chef and you be
Yeah,
like,
I can
oh,
make
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh, I love plantain porridge.
Then I'll critique you. I'll be like, oh,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
why-
And then you get to critic and say,
Yeah,
oh, does
yeah.
it taste
What
good?
you do
No, does
every
it
time,
taste
you be
good?
like, what are you doing this? Oh, is a critique behind the scene. Like, she criticizes. I don't want to use criticizes, Critiquing is different from criticizing. But she's always asking numerous questions.
Yes, because I'm
you're
curious.
like,
I'm a curious
what-
cat. I like
what-
to know
what is
what's
this?
going on.
What is this?
Why are you using that? Why are you using this? Why not this? Why not that?
So
Please.
presently, our plantains is still frying. We're still frying it, and the sauce is cooking down.
Plantain is taking so long.
It's
oh.
taking so long. I'm wondering why it's taking too long. So this is going to cook down. When this is ready, when it has cooked down about half the content it is, then oh, okay, this is cooked down. I don't know how spicy it is. I added a lot of habanero into it, but I don't like spice. I do not like spice. So the gizzard is ready.
Okay.
Sauce is on its way, and plantains is frying.
Okay, so let me tell you a story.
Okay.
When I was about getting married, second time I met my mother-in-law, she looked at my nails and she said, "Are you sure you'll be able to cook with these nails?" And I looked at her, and then I looked at my husband-to-be at the time, and I was like, I didn't say anything.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Quickly, let's take a look at the story on a female potter. It's quite an interesting one. Watch this.
A scientist by profession, Mercy remains drawn to this activity that involves converting dust and clay into beautiful works of art.
I'm a scientist, but I'm learning this part of art from my dad, which I met him doing it. I was born in it and I grew up in it. Mostly Saturdays, I'm like, okay, what do we do? Just come to the labs, play with dad, tell him, okay, we can do this, we can do that. At times he doubts all that. You that are not paying interest. So we just, you're not paying interest. So to prove it that, okay, we can do it, for the fact that we don't pay interest, we know what goes into it and what comes into it. So we are always under his supervision, because we look at it, none of us is into outline except my dad. So we're like, okay, this place cannot die like that. Let's just support him up. So that was how we came into clay production, helping him in doing other things.
Here, she loses herself in the world of creation, tapping into her imagination while holding on to knowledge of production to bring her works to the stage of completion. She is very much at home here.
So this is our point of production, where we produce whatever they want us to produce. At times, out of imagination, we just bring out anything. At times, we do machine production, the mugs, the plate, the flower vase, flower pot, and so heavy. Like here, I have a wall vase, but in a fish shape. In a fish shape, this was handmade, which was made directly with clay. This is the raw material for producing it, which is the clay. Like, we pound it as if you're pounding it in mortar, but now we use the flour. We pound with it. After pounding it, we have to knead it to pick out all the particles, so you have a fine texture. We pick out all the particles. Then, at times, we use slab. We have our working molds also. These are our working molds. Like if we have to make a mass production, I want them to look alike. We don't want slight different, we use the mold. But I'm making just one. We can just do one and forget about it. But if you come and like, hey, you like this, you want us to reproduce more, then we go with the working mold. Then, with this fish, the way it was produced, we use the slab method. We cut out the shape, then couple it together. Then when you couple it together, you allow hair to touch it to make it leather-like, like a little plastic. You can start working it out by bringing out the characters on it. This is the fish. This is where you can put your flour. Our oven, we use for making it, bake it at the first stage. Bake it at the first stage. Then we'll bring it out before making it glass. These are the elements that produce the heat.
Mercy is a true daughter of the soil, and her pride in her African roots cannot be hidden. The love of Africa flows from her heart through her hand, pounding clay, baking it, and coating the products to show the world the beauty of Africa.
This is the flow. It was sprayed, not even baked. It was sprayed with this, just to bring out its own beauty, bringing it out in an African way, not like in the white manner. So like, okay, Africa have their own beauty. Let's bring it out. So I decided, okay, Dad, I don't want to do this. I want the African way. I like it natural. We are too used to flower vase, but want something real Africa. I saw a basket, a waste paper basket. I'm like, okay, Daddy, these things are not just be meant for fruit that they carry to the farmland. We can also use it as a flower pot, bringing out that beauty. They had to like supervise me through. We did our modeling.
Satisfaction is given many names depending on where it's found. For those who find it in their work, it is called fulfillment. I
feel fulfilled this time I do something, and though I'm not serious about it, but seeing the beautification and people telling me, oh, it's beautiful, this is nice, or have that joy in me that, okay, even if I am not on my field, I can still do something outside my field and I'm fine and okay.